Here we go. Spoiler alert, audience. And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Jason Show Home Edition. I'm Jace. Happy day. Happy almost holiday weekend. Hope you're all doing well. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and let's have some fun for about an hour. I had some fun, and I don't know if you'll call it fun, but like a lot of you, I'm on the Facebook, and I was bored on Sunday. I did something, one other thing I'll tell you about in a second, but I was bored on Sunday, and I noticed that everybody on Facebook was had these avatars, these new avatars. I'm like, what is this? And then Colin told me that Facebook now has these new avatars, so I made one. This is me right there. Even in an avatar, I'm wearing a suit. That's one of the first things I was like, okay, I could have put myself in a t-shirt, but I gotta tell you, not that bad, right, friends? I think it kind of sort of looks like me. Let me go back and forth. Hello. There we go. Hello. It kind of does, I have to admit, and I actually have that color suit, shockingly. So if you're on the Facebook, if you go, well, I don't know. I had to be told how to find it, but I think it's right at the top when you log in and you can make your own avatar. But it was a lot of fun, and yeah, I actually enjoyed it. The other thing, before we get started, and I'll probably turn this into a best thing ever, maybe in a future episode, but I am going to surprise all of you that know anything about me. I have been watching a sports documentary. I know. I need a drink too. I have been watching, like most of America, The Last Dance from ESPN. This is, of course, chronicling the final season of Michael Jordan and Scottie and Rodman in 97, 98 from ESPN Films. Netflix is involved too. Unparalleled access to the guys, to the crew, to the season. You get to see the drama. You get to, with Rodman, there you see right there, you get to see what went into that final season, contract talks, grudges that MJ has, the shenanigans that Rodman pulled. And what's fascinating is, for those of you who may or may not know, I'm from that area. So just like I always say, I feel lucky that I'm an 80s kid. I also feel very lucky that I lived in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, during the era of Michael Jordan. I'm not a sports guy, but he was so, everywhere. No matter what bar you went into, no matter what restaurant, no matter what store, there was Bulls merchandise everywhere. And MJ was the biggest thing on the planet. I was actually in the audience for an Oprah Winfrey show in 93 when MJ was there talking about his retirement at the time and the murder of his father. But this documentary, and again, I'll go into it more in depth maybe in a future episode, 10-part series. I didn't want it to stop. I'm only on 5. I hear it only gets better, but I took so many takeaways. One of my big ones is I love Scottie Pippen. I love Scottie Pippen so much. So if you want to see it, if you have Xfinity, I believe you can see ESPN on demand on that. Just search for The Last Dance. And thanks to Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9 Sports for recommending it to me. The Last Dance on ESPN. Okay, let's get started, everybody. It is time for the hot dish. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, let's get started. Harry Styles has done it again. That's right. He's my favorite One Directioner. Well, actually, I like Niall Horan too, but I don't know. Harry, Niall, they're about the same. Anyway, he's done it again. We're talking about one of his music videos, Watermelon Sugar. That's right. I love some watermelon, and I love some watermelon sugar. The single originally debuted back in November. I think we actually talked about it here in the Hot Dish. But the video comes at a time when we're all needing some summer in our lives, don't we? Don't we want to look at his glasses? I've never touched watermelon like that, by the way. But anyway, we need some summer in our lives. Harry, as you can see, soaking up the sun and the beach, all by himself, eating a little slice of watermelon. And a lot of scantily clad, okay. And, a lot of ladies. Okay, you're just eating watermelon. I don't know if it's all that exciting. But anyway, it took more than 12 hours for the video to reach 8 million views. 8 million. It looks like it is so 60, 70-ish vibe. It's so just kind of hippie-ish, I don't know. I love it. I love Harry. I just think he has it. He just has the style. He's cool. You know what I mean? There are just some people that are just naturally cool. And I think Harry Styles is one of those people. He's just cool. He can make anything. Like baking a potato, I think he would make look cool. But yeah, anyway, I'm just jealous. I never really had that talent. Next, other than Harry Styles, we spent a lot of time last year on the Hot Dish talking about that book about The View. Remember, it's called The Ladies Who Punch. Well, listen to this. We're going to be talking a lot more about this because the book is being turned into a mini-series. The book pulled the curtain back on all the drama behind the scenes at The View over there on ABC. Remember that show you do not watch? Most of it involved Barbara Walters and her feuds with co-stars Rosie O'Donnell, Whoopi, Joy, Elizabeth Hasselbeck, and Star Jones. Remember, Star Jones got married, everybody. It's unclear when the production's going to start and who's going to play, but the executive producers have already given the green light, or they've already said this is going to be a go. This is going to be really hard to cast because A, it's still on the air. B, how can you have like Whoopi without it being Whoopi? And then how can you have Barbara Walters and not seem like Sherry O'Terry doing a caricature? And also, aren't we still kind of living this? I don't know if we need a movie about this. If we want to see the View ladies fighting every day, you could just watch that show instead of this show. But I don't want you to do it. Keep it here because nobody's fighting here. You know why? Because I'm sitting in a room by myself with a Starbucks cup. Ain't nobody to fight with here. Finally, Legally Blonde. Show of hands, who loves Legally Blonde? Okay, I see all you there. Okay, I love Legally Blonde too. Well, I have good news for you. Look at this headline. It says everything you need to know. Mindy Kaling and a guy named Dan, they are going to co-write. Poor Dan. I don't know him though, but we know what Mindy Kaling. They're going to co-write Legally Blonde 3, and Reese is coming back, y'all. That's right. Here's a look at the original trailer. Nearly 20 years after it debuted, Legally Blonde 3 is happening. Mindy Kaling is signed on as one of the writers for the film. She wrote several episodes of The Office, as well as The Mindy Project, but this surprises me, will be your first time writing for a film. She'll be joined by Dan Gore, who is a writer on Parks and Rec and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Hey, Joel McKinnon-Miller. Reese Witherspoon's going to come back as Elle. Now, no word on when it's going to go back or when it's going to go into production. I'm really excited. When I think of Legally Blonde, I think of just starting at Channel 9 back in the year 2000 because it was a movie promotion that I did. And I still have somewhere a Legally Blonde bright pink clipboard that I sometimes bring in to buildings when I want to look important. But this is good. If there's anybody that can do snappy writing really well, it's Mindy Kaling. And by the way, her show, Never Have I Ever, is on Netflix. I watched one episode. I got to give it another try. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but I love Mindy and I love her sensibility and her sense of humor. So I'm going to go back. So Legally Blonde 3, we don't know when that's coming out, but her show, Mindy's show, Never Have I Ever, is on Netflix right now. My dear friends, we have a great show coming up. So please stay right there and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. Our Hot Dish continues with our Insider to the Stars. I haven't been able to say that since the pandemic started. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us from his extra bedroom, it's Dax Holt, everyone. Hello, Dax.
Hello, my friend. I love your extra bedroom, too.
I know. Again, I used to make fun of you, and now look. Now we're both in extra bedrooms. Congratulations, your new site. Refresh everyone's memory. What's your new site's name?
So it's the Hollywood Raw podcast. Yeah.
You guys were everywhere. I got alerts from you when I did the radio show. Your story went nuts. Explain what story and what happened.
Yeah, so the podcast has just been crazy over the last few weeks, but we actually had Steve Stanulis, who is an actor, writer, producer, on our podcast the other day, but he also happens to be Kanye West's former bodyguard, and he has had a fascinating life. He started off in the NYPD. He was also a Chippendales dancer for a little bit. Then he became a bodyguard, started off his bodyguard career with Leonardo DiCaprio, at the height of his Titanic career, then was with him for a while. He worked with Alanis Morissette, worked with Michael Stipe, worked with Stephen Baldwin, Woody Harrelson. I mean, he's worked with kind of everyone. But a lot of his really interesting stories came from his days with Kanye West. And it all started when he was, I guess, commissioned to work with him during Fashion Week in Paris. And he went into those wild stories about, I mean, we all know Kanye's a little eccentric and wild and egotistical and all that kind of stuff. But he was saying, day one of meeting them, he was in an elevator with them. And Kanye looks at him and is like, "Are you going to push what button so we can go to the floor?" And he's like, "I literally just met you. I have no idea what floor we're going to." And he goes, "Well," and he just starts ranting and raving and saying, how they're wasting time. And so Steve said, "Look, you got 3 options here. 1, you tell me what button to push, I'll push it. Option 2, you push the button and then I'll know what floor we're going to next. Or 3, you continue to tell me how important your time is and we don't ever go anywhere." And it was stories like this that were fascinating. And so I encourage you, listen to the Hollywood Rod podcast. I've got an hour of talking to this guy, which he's got some great stories.
Okay, was there anything like, okay, he's a pill, like you said, we've known that for years. Did he have any, was he basically positive though? Did he say, because I heard he say, I rolled this clip of your podcast. He said that one of the good things is he's a hard worker, right, Dax?
Yes. So we played a game with him at one point because he has worked with so many celebs, whether that's in bodyguarding, whether it's in acting, because he's actually starring in a new movie with Tara Reid. So he's kind of been with everyone. But we played a game which was like, name that celeb. So we would go down a list and say, who's the hardest worker? Who's the craziest? Who's the worst tipper? And so he did give that category to Kanye West. He said, he is the hardest worker I have ever been around.
I want people to listen to the podcast, but you know how I feel as an ex-server. Do you remember who he said was a horrible tipper?
Yeah, he actually gave that one to Kanye.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Kanye won quite a few categories, and I think that Kanye was just a very, very memorable person to him. But he did award, like, I think the nicest person went to Tobey Maguire.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You know what? I will never understand the tipping thing. I've said this, so if I had stupid money, and I mean stupid money, wouldn't that just be a good joy of your life? Like I know Chelsea Handler does that, and Amy Schumer is famous for doing it. Wouldn't you just tip these people? It wouldn't mean anything to you, but for that server, it would change their month.
Exactly. Absolutely. And when it comes to best tipping, we did ask that, and he said it was Leonardo DiCaprio and his friends. So it was like Leonardo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, Lucas Haas, like that group of friends that used to be kind of out rolling the streets together.
Next, Aaron Carter, you had on the podcast. This dude has lived an interesting life.
Very interesting life. I mean, fascinating. Obviously, there's been a lot of drama with him, his famous brother, Nick Carter, the whole family as a whole, because, I mean, there's been restraining orders put against Aaron Carter. But you got to realize this kid was insanely famous, insanely rich by like the age of 13. So he's had a full life by the age of 13. But we talked all about how he got into the music industry, where his relationship stands with his family right now. And he blames a lot of the problems that he has on his brother. And it comes down to jealousy. That's what he's kind of chalked it up to, saying that, you know what, my brother was crazy successful with the Backstreet Boys. And then Aaron Carter comes up and does this solo career. And, his solo career was much bigger than his brother's solo career. And he kind of says that was the reason that the tension started. Came with jealousy, and then it kind of has just spiraled out of control there. He says he still loves his brother. He wishes that things could work out, but it's not at a place right now where it's doable. And he goes on to his addictions. He had a huffing addiction for a while. Talked all about that. So again, another very fascinating interview with someone who his whole life has been chronicled.
How can you, I mean, you're a kid and you're looking at your brother. How could you not be affected by that?
Yeah. Listen. I think there is something to be said about sibling rivalry, but this is on a whole nother scale because you've got millions of dollars, you've got millions of fans, and you're competing with one another. And it's funny that to even think that Nick would be somewhat jealous of Aaron because the Backstreet Boys were the most famous band in the world for a while.
Finally, we have just over a minute and a half, and I like to. I have no shame in admitting that I insta-stalk you sometimes, and I'm going to pull up a little video here. This is Dax Holt doing exercises by his pool. Dax, would you like to explain to the good people of Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa and I don't know wherever we else? What are you doing here, Dax?
Well, this is how I stay fit during, this pandemic. You got to stay fit. You got to stay active and flexible. And so I spend my times during the day, sitting by the pool and keeping my back stretched out.
Yeah. Dax, I've seen you in person. And not that I've looked at your legs, but I've looked at your legs, and your legs are not that hairy, Dax. I'm just saying.
I do admit that, from the waist up, I am like a 12-year-old unhairy boy. But look at my legs there. No, those happen to be. And if you watch the video, I can't stop laughing.
I know. That's what I love. It's like a Carol Burnett skit. You cannot keep a straight face.
Because the whole time I'm realizing how ridiculous it is that I'm doing this right now. So I couldn't keep it together. But those are my brother-in-law's legs there.
That is nuts. You can follow Dax Holt on social media, Dax Holt. And then social media, Hollywood, where do they look up Dax?
Yeah, you go to Hollywood Raw. You can find it anywhere podcasts or stream, iTunes, Spotify, kind of anywhere that you can get your podcast. And it's, like I said, it's been doing really great. We've got, the founder of Media Takeout on, and he reveals a lot of interesting facts about how he started up his huge blog.
Dax Holt, everybody. Thank you, buddy. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back right after this, so stay right there. Back. And welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. It's time for one of my favorite segments. We try to be happy. We try to be positive on every single episode of our show, but we're making a real effort in one segment per day. There'll be very little sass, very little sarcasm, just nothing but Jason's non-negative news. Look at that. Very, very happy. And first up, a little personal item. Remember I told you that it was my boxer Dexter's birthday on Monday. He turned 7 years old. And per tradition, we took Dexter to Dairy Queen. And there's Mr. Big there. Here's the video. And notice how quickly Dexter devours the vanilla cone. And then you'll see, okay, he's going in. Oh, and there's the first bite. And then we'll go to Biggie, who is just very dainty, just little bitty licks. And Dexter thinking that both belong. Now watch Biggie, just a little bitty lick. There's Dexter just going into it like Roy Scheider's on a boat at the end of Jaws. Look at that. And then we go down to Biggie, who's gentle and just giving just little bitty licks. Oh, look at him there. Well, he can do whatever he wants. It's his birthday. And then again, there's little polite licks from Mr. Big. Dexter ended up eating not only his ice. Oh, look at him. My goodness. Ended up not only eating his ice cream cone for his birthday, but also his brother's. And thanks to the really sweet people. I'd never been there. The Dairy Queen in St. Anthony in Minneapolis behind the Quarry Target. It looks like a classic DQ. And they were very, very sweet. And it was a nice spring day. It was good to see people out. And yes, the cotton candy blizzard is back. And now they have a cotton candy cone. I need to get one of those. Thanks to all that were writing me about that. I have not tried that. That is some good non-negative news. So again, thanks to the good folks at DQ. Okay, another story in our Jason's non-negative news. A guy in Atlanta launched a program called Love Sinks In. Love Sinks In. And what it does is it provides portable sinks for homeless folks in Atlanta. Well, it's been such a success that program has now expanded into 11 different cities. That's great because when you think, my heart breaks when I think about the fact that the homeless population, which is obviously, you read the paper, and it's grown over the years. They have no medical attention. They have no home. They have no way to combat this virus. no masks, let alone washing their hand. So and that's, we all know that's one of the easiest ways to try to combat the virus is washing your paws. And if you can't do that, I mean, my goodness. So what a great dude in Atlanta there in 11 different cities. I just thought that was just unbelievably fantastic. So thank you very much. We're going to take a break and we'll be back right after this. And welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. You loved him. Love him present tense in Reno 911. You've seen him in Carol's Second Act, The Goldbergs. I just saw him on Strahan on GMA Afternoon or whatever they're calling that show now. But it all started. He started in Burnsville, Minnesota. Please welcome very funny guy and Minnesota native. It's Cedric, everybody. Hi, Cedric.
Hey, how you doing, Jason?
Welcome back to Minnesota, my friend.
Oh man, I miss you guys. I really do. I miss home. Quick shout out to Kai and my mom and my brothers and sister. I miss Perkins. Perkins is still around, right? Yeah.
Perkins is still around.
Oh man, I had so many tremendous 12s there growing up. Man, there was a time where I would go to the Gold Rush. It was a dance place where we would dance hard, sweating hard, and then try to flirt with girls who didn't want anything to do with your sweaty body, and then, your sweaty teenage body. And then we would go to Perkins and drown our woes in pancakes. So that shout out to Perkins.
Cedric, don't you think about, because I was a server, I know you've had a lot of odd jobs too. Don't you think about those poor servers at places like Perkins who they are just like, get your teenagers out of here because you know you ain't going to tip? I always think about those poor servers in the overnight places.
Yes. I used to serve tables at Buca de Beppo, which started in Minneapolis, but I served out here. But it's like, just give me my 38 cents and go.
I love it.
Out of here.
And correct me if I'm wrong. So Burnsville, right? I got that right. You went to Burnsville High School, right? And then Minnesota State University.
I did go to Burnsville High School. Then I went to Minnesota State University. Even between that, I went to Inver Hills Community College, and I learned a lot out of there. And then I went to Minnesota State, Mankato, at the time. Mankato State at the time.
Yeah.
But and I got to shout out everybody. Mankato, I love you. I miss you. I hope everybody is well. I had a very cool professor, Dr. Hustles, who is retiring this year, and he taught me a lot. So I owe you a lot.
And Cedric, you know our friends Aaron Schwab and the great Melissa Peterman. Am I right on that?
Oh, the best. Those two, man. I learned a lot from those guys. The three of us did one show together. The three of us. Musical. Can you guess which musical the three of us might have done?
Okay, you're good. Oh, I should know.
Classic musical.
Classic. Okay, Schwabi. I know her resume, and I can't. Oh, you got me, Cedric. It's the quarantine, Cedric. I'm caught in this room.
It's fine. It's okay. It's Oklahoma.
Seriously?
We did Oklahoma together in Mankato State University, and it was silly and ridiculous. But yeah, those three. I think that's the only show I actually did with Aaron Schwab. But Melissa and I, we've done a ton of shows. We wrote together at Dudley Riggs Brave New Workshop and stuff together. I did a ton of improv, and then I went on to do her show, Baby Daddy.
Yeah.
Out here.
She's the best, isn't she, Cedric? I said, and Schwabi too. Two of the best women that I feel fortunate to know.
Melissa and I, we've done a lot of stuff together. We went to high school together in Burnsville. She was the one to look up to. She got a Subway commercial in her teen years, and we were just like, do they give you Subway forever? What's the deal? How did you do that? Yeah, so she was She was a standard bearer. Her career was already rocketing. She was eating Subway sandwiches that I wanted to eat, and yeah, she's awesome. She's fantastic.
She's just a good human.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Reno's back, and I love the Quibi. And so, how does the show? They're under 10 minutes. And for the people watching that don't know, a Quibi stands for Quick Bite streaming app. All the episodes are 10 minutes or less. Does that play well into the structure of Reno 911?
Yeah, that was a good synopsis of what Quibi is. It's basically television for your phone. It's you download the app. Right now, I think they have a 90-day free trial to get the app, and then all of our episodes right now of the first season of our 7th season are all out, all 12 of them. But yeah, so they're quick little segments of the show, and they really, really cater to our particular show. Reno was always basically a cartoon. just you get bonked on the head, and then the next scene we're okay. So this really lends to our comedic sense. On the show, it was always sketches, quick little sketches that we would do. We would pull somebody over, or somebody was doing something illegal. Somebody got stuck somewhere, and we had to pull them out. All that kind of stuff. And so this really lends itself for this series. And from what I hear, people are really enjoying the show.
I love it. I love Quibi because I know right now, we're not waiting in lines. We're all in our house. But once things get back to some semblance of normal, what I love is the fact that we all have those 5-6 minutes when we're waiting at Starbucks or the DMV, and to be able to knock out an episode, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the DMV, you need a laugh. So we hopefully will provide that for you. And once everything clears, I think people are gonna maybe even find it, Quibi even being a little bit more easy to enjoy. But even now, I mean, what are you waiting for? The pizza to show up?
Exactly.
Or go to the if you go to the bathroom, that's going to take probably 5 minutes. Why not take me in there with you?
Take Cedric. That should just be the tagline, Cedric. Tell Quibi. Take Cedric to the bathroom with you.
With you. Yeah,
That's right.
Be a friend. I can be a friend.
That's right.
Yes.
My friend, will you please come back? What a pleasure. I could talk to you forever. Don't be a stranger. Come back to the show, please.
Oh, thank you. Of course I will. And hopefully I'll, if this is still around, can you invite me into your home?
If this is still around, what are you hoping for, the cancellation, Cedric?
No, I'm just saying you might be quarantined still. If you're still quarantined, just let me into your house, Jason.
Of course. Look, it's my extra bedroom right here. You can stay here.
I'm not going to stay. I just want to I just want to come in and just let me do the way I want to do it, Jason. Jeez.
Perfect. I will.
Great.
Cedric Yarbrough, everybody.
Awesome.
Quibi. Reno 911's available right now. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Jason Show, Home Edition. I got to tell you, I've been doing TV so long that I remember interviewing our next guest when he was at Minnetonka High School, winning awards and getting a lot of attention when I did The Buzz on Channel 9. Well, now he is a Broadway star. He's been on this network and the Rocky Horror Picture Show Live. He's back home. He's back here in Minnesota. Please welcome Minnesota native and good guy all around, Ryan McCartan. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me. What an intro.
Well, no, seriously. It was funny. I have followed your career, and Lord knows I don't expect you to remember this, but I remember, I don't know, I think you won the award, or I can't remember why you were specifically on The Buzz, but I remember sitting there on the couch with you, the Spotlight Award, and I remember sitting on the couch with Alex, and you got up after the interview, and I looked at Alex, my co-anchor, and said, he's going to make it. Like, out of all, because everyone, there's a lot of people that have dreams of making it, but I said, that guy, we're going to see in a playbill in like 5 years, and you did it. Do Do you take a moment to wrap your head around that, Ryan, that you started at Minnetonka High School and then you did and you do? Your name is in Playbill. I mean,
Yeah, that is certainly not lost on me. I mean, I think that I'm always putting my future hopes in context of my past experiences. And frankly, I need to say, I think that I'm pretty good. I'm pretty proud of what I do. But honestly, the only reason that I think I have any success at all is because I'm smart enough to surround myself with truly exceptional people. And that has been the case for my entire life. And that comes from good parenting. That comes from good teachers. That comes from just a good community all around. People pointing me in the right direction and supporting me with a community of people who are truly exceptional, truly just geniuses, my friends and coworkers and colleagues all across the board, all down the line. And so some of their genius rubs off on me, and I'm really fortunate for that.
probably on the top of that list, and we have our fair share of guests from Minnetonka High School. I try, whether it's on the radio show or this show, to shine a light on them because they're exceptional what they do. What is it about Minnetonka High School, Ryan, that, year after year as classes come in class, what is it about that program that sets it apart?
Geez, how much time do you have?
We have as much time. It's the apocalypse, Ryan. We can do a 2-hour special on this.
All right, then. Well, I think in the interest of total candor, first and foremost, we have the support of the community, both kind of the emotional, intellectual support, but also the financial support. There are people who think that the arts are worth investing in, an investment that I wholeheartedly agree with, but sadly an investment that is not matched in many communities all across our country and world. And when you have a community that has, patrons of the arts willing to support it, both by putting their butts in seats, by putting their dollars into the program, that makes a huge difference because you have the financial support to get the tools you need to make something really spectacular happen. But to that end, that's not enough. It's not enough to just put on an amazing show. And the thing that I think is really fantastic between Kent Knutson and Trent Boyum and all of the people who have worked with the Minnetonka Theater Program is that they understand that two things are happening simultaneously. They are creating theater, they're creating art, that's extremely important, but they're also educating students. They are empowering students with educational tools, with artistic tools that they can carry forward in the future. They are imbuing them with a sense of passion and importance. And that comes through in the work that the students do, that what they are doing matters. And frankly, theater to me was a hobby until I went to Minnetonka High School. And I had worked professionally before I had gone to Minnetonka, but you mentioned it with Spotlight and things of that nature. I remember when I won my first Spotlight Award and I was like, wait, this is something that's worth an accolade. This is something that's worth recognition. That was news to me. The arts were frilly. The arts were, inconsequential, non-substantial to me. And then all of a sudden they were substantiated. They were made serious. And I thought to myself, wait, this could be an actual career. That happened not just because of the spectacular art that was being made, but because of the care and instruction that was coming from the teachers. And I think that's really, really crucial.
And rare. It's something. It's something that I think we here in the Twin Cities need to not to take for granted and look at it as a wonderful jewel that we have here.
Absolutely. To your point, it's rare to have both at once. I mentioned the support of the community, both financially and otherwise, and then the importance of the instruction and things of that nature. To have the synthesis of those two at the same time is extremely rare and extremely important and should be protected at all costs.
I told you we had a lot of time. We're going to take a break, everyone. When we come back, Ryan was cast in Frozen on Broadway, and then, the apocalypse happened. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his career and how he stays positive. Ryan's on Instagram and how he stays positive when it's really hard sometimes to focus on the good. That and more when we come back. Back in a moment. And welcome back. Joined once again by our friend Ryan McCartan, Broadway star, Minnesota native. Ryan, I was okay. So I said in the tease leading up to this, you've done Heather's off Broadway. You did Wicked on Broadway at the Gershwin. We'll talk about Rocky Horror that was right here on this network. But you were cast. You were cast as Hans in Frozen. How long were you on stage? And talk about that moment. You were there when basically the cliche, the lights went out on Broadway. Walk me through it. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was wild. Circumstantially, everything that you described is correct, but then you compound it with another factor, which is that Disney essentially rebooted Frozen on Broadway. We had a very intensive rehearsal process as myself, Ellen Marlowe, Mackenzie Kurtz, and Sierra Renee were all new cast members. They wanted to, they added a new song, a duet for the girls. They added new staging elements and things of that nature, some special effects, things like that. And so we had a whole new tech process. The show was kind of restructured and then released to a brand new audience of very excited people, some who were coming for the first time, some who had already seen it, who were so eager to see it again. So you have all of that happening. The rehearsal process was grueling. It was amazing, but it was intense. It was about a month. And then we hit the stage for about 3.5. And then news from on high came down that Broadway was shuttering its doors. And now keep in mind, Broadway has shut down before. There was the 01 strike in, I believe, 2007, and that lasted 14, 17 days, something like that. So this has happened, but for a very brief period of time. And when news of COVID-19 started spreading, we all assumed that perhaps just as a safety measure, as in terms of liability and things of that nature, that we would maybe shut down for a week or two. News has just come down from the Broadway League that Broadway shows are shut down until September 6th. This is just a month after we were told this is just a brief 4-week thing. So it's truly insane. This has never happened in the history of Broadway ever. And to be a part of that is illuminating and I guess special if you have to look for a silver lining, but it's also crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of one of the only stable jobs in the entertainment business is landing a show like Frozen, which is, subsidized by Disney Theatrical Group, has all the money in the world and is not going to close anytime soon. That's kind of like the only stability that an actor like me gets. And for that to be given and then just ripped away by a circumstance like this is, it's wild, but it does two things. One, it reminds us, don't make plans because they're always bound to change. But it also, I feel, uniquely qualified to weather this storm because as an actor, I go from employed to unemployed all the time.
Yeah.
So, I'm hunkering down. I'm finding creative ways to make money and keep myself engaged in artistic creation and things of that nature. And that's all that I can really do in this time.
In our remaining minutes, I want to talk about because I find, sometimes it's so vapid, the world of social media and just devoid of any type of constructive conversation but I find your social media a nice little respite in that. You're thoughtful. It's not just pictures of you staring at yourself in the mirror. And you've been doing these apocalypse diaries. We're taking a look at your Insta right now. One of them that struck me was you were very forthcoming and very real. And I found this refreshing. And I try to do it here on the show. You were very real about trying to find some good because you were really down on this particular day. How are you trying to keep a balance? Are you keeping a lid on how much news you consume? How do you do that? How are you trying to stay positive in this nutter butter time?
I appreciate you saying all that. Really quickly before I answer your question, I just want to say, my Instagram used to be a lot of pictures of myself staring at myself in the mirror. I don't want you to give me too much credit because listen, fame is like a drug. It is very addictive and it's hard to realize that you are addicted. And I was addicted. And it took me a lot of self-work to realize that social media, it's like a scythe. It's either a weapon or a tool. It depends on how you wield it and who's wielding it in the first place. And, when it came to this time in particular, but also just in general. I have mild anxiety, I have mild depression, I was abused as a child. There's a lot of things that have happened to me that I feel it's really important that I speak out about, to give people the sense, that if it's Mr. Rogers said this, if it's mentionable, it's manageable. I think that's really important. But also, people aren't alone. And when it came to this, I felt this desperate need, as I think many people do, to participate in the process of making a change, to participate in the process of making a difference, to show up and say what needs to be said in any way, shape, or form. And I try my hardest to always say when I make these videos, this is just my opinion, and if you disagree, I want you to disagree, and I want you to tell me why you disagree. I want to participate in a discourse. We don't have a healthy dialogue in this country, world anymore, and I think it's a darn shame, because if you can communicate about it, you realize that there is so much more that we have in common than what divides us. But if you show up to a conversation deciding preemptively that it's going to be an argument, you've already lost. And so I try to imbue that sense of community in the content that I create. And then to answer your question about finding a balance and remaining optimistic, I think first and foremost it's about acceptance. Adaptation cannot come until acceptance is achieved, and one must accept that these times are very difficult. One must accept that consciously or subconsciously, all of us are experiencing trauma and grief, that grief has stages, and that those stages can show up at any time. So to empower people to accept and not wrestle with the anger or the depression or the bargaining that they might be experiencing in this time, and that it is in fact normal to be going through grief in a global pandemic. So that's a big thing that I focus on, is accepting the feelings that I feel instead of judging them, because with judgment just comes more anxiety, and none of us need that.
No.
And then finally, I think that just like I said before, participating in the process of making a difference, participating in something, showing up to something, holding yourself accountable to something. For me, I'm holding myself accountable to a small audience of people who really enjoy the videos that I'm making, because I feel like I'm either informing them or sparking a discourse. That makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm part of something. And I believe full-heartedly that anybody in any community can find an opportunity to participate in something safely, distantly, digitally, however they need to. And having a sense of community, even if it's digital, is so important to the heart. We are social creatures. We need to honor that.
A big thanks to Ryan McCartan. You can follow him on social media. Just search for Ryan McCartan. And also, just a little note. We taped that interview several days ago. And immediately, soon after our interview, the news came down that Disney was canceling Frozen on Broadway for good. And just devastating news for Ryan, the entire cast, the crew of Disney's Frozen on Broadway. But I know Ryan will persevere, and this will not be the last time that Ryan is on Broadway. So we wish Ryan and the whole cast and crew of Disney's Frozen on Broadway the very best. And again, you can follow Ryan on social media. We're going to take a break, everyone. Stay right there. Back right after this. And welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. A big thanks to our guest today. Thanks to Ryan McCartan. Thanks to Cedric, and thanks to Dax Holt. I've said it all the time, a good guest is a guest that comes to play. And all three of ours today really came to play. And speaking of Dax, I think we should look at this one more time. What a better way to end the show. Sincerely. That is just fantastic. And Dax, perhaps you might want to consider waxing. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Or you know what? That's not how God made you. Anyway, you can search for Dax Holt on social media. And again, thanks to Cedric. What a nice guy. I had never met him before. I popped him up to do the interview, and he, off air and on, he could not have been just nicer. Reno 911 on Quibi, everyone. Again, on Quibi, it's already on there. All the episodes are available, and they're all under 10 minutes. So thank you very much. We got to get that reunion working between Cedric and Schwabi and Melissa Peterman. We got to get on that. And speaking of Erin Schwab, don't forget, Erin's doing live cabarets on her Facebook. Search for Erin Schwab for specific dates and times. And tip her well, as they say. Tip your servers well, but in this case, tip our buddy Erin well. Her and Jay doing doing good work to keep us entertained during the quarantine. That's going to do it for us. Don't forget, we have brand new episodes of The Jason Show Home Edition on Tuesdays and Thursdays, with best ofs on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you just can't get enough of our goofy selves, you can always search for us on social media. The show never stops there. Search for Jason Show TV. That's going to do it for us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay smart. And if you're a kid watching that's being bullied, you go out there and be yourself, because nobody can tell you you're doing it wrong. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.